Red Ray Gun Limited presents
The Benji and Nick Show. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good day. We've done good morning.
Yeah,
We started
goodness.
with Loch Ness.
I thought I'd ambushed you. I got it completely wrong.
You see, you can't outsmart a fox.
That was a fox. This is the Benji and Nick Show. I'm Nick. Who are you?
I am Benji, and we
I
are
thought as
broadcasting
much.
from Demdy Moor on the... I think that's what they used to say in the trade test transmissions or something. I don't know where it was, but they always used to say... It'd be like, broadcasting you from the... This is a trade test transmission broadcasting you from the something tower from Demdy Moor. Something like that.
Well, we talk about cult television, and we often set ourselves the task of watching a program and then talking about it the next week. We spontaneously pick one. Sometimes we're just reading out your emails sent to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com, or talking about what we've seen during the past week on the telly. But this week we are in fact looking at more of your emails, and we're doing a bit of commentary, and of course it is part 3 of Death to the Daleks. I say of course. Yeah, that's a proper reaction. I say of course because we have already done parts 1 and 2 over the last month or so. That's a seagull just popping in to see me. It's quite a nice day here today, so I've got the door of my shed open where I'm recording. But before we get to Death to the Daleks part 3, which I think I mentioned in the last podcast, was an episode that I had a traumatic experience with, or afterwards, because of my English teacher being a twit. But you can go back and listen to the last podcast to listen to me moaning about that. Benji, should we launch straight into the emails before we get to Death to the Daleks? Give people a chance to go and get their DVD and get ready to be synced up with our commentary.
Kitchen's synced up. Good idea. Well, we have got one straight off the cuff here from the P.O. Box, whatever they say. I'm down with the kids, aren't I? This one is from our good friend, the Unmutual. It's a good old Rick. And... I was about to read out the email.
There's a competition in here.
That's exciting, isn't it? The title of this one is BNN Show, The Curse of Episode 1 plus Competition in big capital letters. Hi, Benji and Nick. Hope you're both well. Well, I hope so. Loving all the recent podcasts, of course, and wanted to chat about 2 of your recent shows, Tenko and Sapphire and Steel.
Oh, yeah. Still available.
Steel available. So pleased that Benji took to Sapphire and Steel like a duck to water. The reason I didn't want Benji to start with assignment 1 was that whilst, as Nick stated, the first episode is actually quite good, but the rest of that story, in my humble opinion, gets duller and duller.
Well, I disagree with your humble opinion. I actually think it's spot on, and it's not dull at all. I remember it being dull, I must say, but watching it again, I loved it.
I imagine that Benji watching and getting into it would then fall away before he ever got to watch the splendour of Assignment 2. It's a bit like introducing someone to Doctor Who with an unearthly child, interestingly enough. Much as I like Episode 1, the rest of the story is very dull.
I disagree again.
So to get someone hooked is far better to go with something like Inferno, and something then they can go... And then they can go to the first story from later on. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I would always introduce somebody to Doctor Who with a Dalek story, because I feel like that's a good solid. That's what they think of when they think Doctor Who. And I think that's you want a good opener like that.
Yes. I mean, it's funny how people have different assumptions about Doctor Who. My good friend Keith Barnfather said to me the other night that he was moaning that he got a load of flack when he was talking on social media, and they were talking about, whether to get someone interested in Doctor Who who'd never seen original Doctor Who, what would you show them, the Green Death or the Seeds of Doom? And he said, well, obviously it's the Green Death. And people were saying, no. And I said, no, it's the Seeds of Doom, mate, The Green Death is so sort of caught up in all that John Pertwee era stuff that it's very familiar to you, but it's not familiar to an audience. They think, who is this Brigadier bloke? And, well, I don't get it, Whereas the Seeds of Doom is far more straight down. He said, well, it's just a rip-off of the thing from another world. And I said, yeah, and that's precisely why people would be able to relate to it.
That's why people would like it, yeah.
Not necessarily because they'd seen the original film, or indeed the remake, but because that story of a human being who turns into something else because they've been infected by an alien, that's an easily graspable sci-fi horror idea. And the story is told at a corking pace. Although, interestingly, watching it again, the whole plastic snow stuff is really, really kind of off-putting. Anyway, sorry, do carry on with Rick's email.
So Rick here says, it's the curse of episode 1, or story 1. So many series have weak openers compared to later episodes. Randall and Hopkirk is one that comes to mind. I don't know if I disagree with that one, because I like that first episode, yeah. And Tenko is the perfect example.
We certainly agree with that.
Certainly agree with that one, yeah. Tenko is a great series, but has a very weak opener. Young Nick is correct that the lead characters are pretty ghastly people, but I think that's deliberate.
Oh, it is.
So the characters grow and change as the series develops. And there's a strong message of we're all in this together, and it turns out that we're all the same underneath, regardless of class or creed, which increases as their situation in captivity becomes more desperate. Another classic one of those is the tripods. Actually, first episode's pretty drab compared to what it gets like as it gets going. I guess reviewing a series set in a prisoner of war camp and watching the episode not set in a prisoner of war camp was going to end in tears. Two very good friends of mine, who are called Nick and Benji, rather than Benji and Nick, have a rather splendid randomizing device. Perhaps this could be employed for future editions of the podcast, unless not watching episode 1 would be very confusing, especially if there are going to be further Doctor Who commentaries, which I hope, listening to you both do Death to the Daleks episode 1 was superb, and you should be employed by the DW Doctor Who DVD team immediately.
Yes, have a word there. He's referring to us doing the Big Finish podcast, where we have a randomoid selectatron to select random things from the bigfinish.com site.
I know that there's a fun website. I think somebody tweeted it to me who listens to the podcast. A thing which is, it mixes up the video of a title sequence with the audio of a different title sequence, and it's really rather fun. So you could see like the video to Holby City and the theme to, I don't know, Postman Pat. Or
I saw one with the video of K9 and Company and the theme of Scooby-Doo.
Well, that would work really well, yeah. I bet. Yeah. But maybe they're definitely, certainly the randomoid thing is in our control to check out and sort out if we can work it out. I say we can, but who knows? But yeah, as for the Doctor Who DVDs, that's for other people to decide. Fascinating to listen to you both, as always, gents. On to lighter matters. It's competition time. Playboy's Spies and Private Eyes, inspired by ITC, is an anthology book written by many writers who each explain their love of an ITC action adventure show and how the show has touched their lives. Shows include The Prisoner, The Saint, The Persuaders, Department S, The Invisible Man, and many more. The book was published in 2017 and is in aid of the Born Free Foundation.
Born Free.
To win a copy of the book, email podcast@nicholasbriggs.com with the answer to the following question. Which of the following shows is not, and that's not in capital letters, an ITC show? Danger Man, The Avengers, The Adventurer, The Champions. I'll read that out again. It's a good question there. Which of the following shows is not an ITC show? Danger Man, The Avengers, The Adventurer, or The Champions? Please note that anybody who enters the competition but doesn't win can have 50% discount when they buy the book from Coit Media Limited website. That's right. All entrants will be emailed an exclusive Benji and Nick Show link to purchase at this discount. Very exciting. So don't forget.
We did that once before with one of his.
It's a great thing to do. And what a generous man for doing a competition as well. Lovely chap. And so don't forget, folks, have a break. Have a BNN show. Best
That's
to
not
you
gonna catch
both,
on, is it?
as ever, Rick. Cheers for that one, Rick.
Thank you, Rick. Harryhausen review from Anthony Zahetner. Yeah. Sent on the 4th of March at 23:37. Hi, Nick and Benji. I agree that Sapphire and Steel works well to ease into it from episode 1, the scary light, than episode 2, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, I was wondering if both think Invasion of the Dinosaurs would be better if it was done by Ray Harryhausen or not. Ray Harryhausen, famous for his stop-motion animation dinosaurs. Yeah. I'm interested in your review of The Golden Voyage of Sinbad with Tom Baker and Caroline Munro, as they have both worked for Big Finish. Interesting, The Golden Voyage. Have you ever seen The Golden Voyage of Sinbad?
I think I have, yeah, because my granddad was really into all the Sinbad stuff, so I have a feeling,
what Baker got Tom Baker cast as Doctor Who, because it was on at the local cinema when Barry Letts and Terence Dicks were considering him, so they went to see it. Yeah. Regarding VHS cassettes, 1, did you ever fast forward and rewind them twice, not in play mode, to prime them before playing them for the first time? I recall a salesperson advising this so that the tape wouldn't stick.
Never did it. Always thought it was an urban myth, but appreciate that. I think you still have to do it with certain things. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
What things? What,
elastic? Like magnetic, like 1-inch sort of 1/4-inch tapes and stuff. I think it helps to do something.
Yeah, I certainly remember people saying that, but I think I was too impatient to do it. 2, why does the image on a VHS flicker when paused and not stay still? Is it interlaced? Michael McIntyre does a routine about this flickering man.
I can answer that question, actually.
I thought you might be able to.
I can, because I wondered it once before. So unlike a DVD, which is like more of a data disc, hence the DVD sort of thing, VHS, it actually scans the individual frames. And so when you pause something, it doesn't stop on the frame. It has to continuously scan that frame. And so that's why it flickers, because what you're actually seeing is it reading the same frame over and over again. And I think it touches on, a tiny millisecond worth of time or whatever. When there's motion moving, you don't notice that because it's changing all the time and it's a different thing. But yeah, and it only gets read once. That is the
Well, there are 2 fields to a frame on video, aren't there?
Something like that, yeah.
No, it's something exactly that.
Exactly like that.
It's actually, it's just magic. 3, did you ever get white fungal rot on VHS tape? I have also heard of CD rot, and I would cry if my Big Finish CD collection was affected. Have you heard about CD rot and fungal rot on VHS tape?
So I've not heard about CD rot. I think that's... I just don't think... I think if you keep your CDs in a good location, then you'll probably be all right. Certainly, it is common
for tape. A good location, like near to a good school and some shopping.
Good school, yes. Nice,
a library.
Nice,
There's
safe
a library
area.
Down the road.
So, library down the road, plenty of cafes.
The council tax is very low, so your CDs will be fine.
No youth clubs. No, I think it provided you don't leave them somewhere damp. Like a classic place that people used to get VHS tape rot would be if they leave their VHS tapes like in the loft or something. And if your loft gets damp, then you get the rot. But I've never heard of it for CDs.
I suppose it's it's like anything. It's not. I don't think it's specific to VHS tape or CDs, is it? It's just anything you leave in a damp area will start to get mold on it. Basically.
I think so, and CDs, yeah, and VHS tapes. It's the type of thing. They're very fragile, aren't they? Thin plastic and tape.
Oops.
So it's very easy for Nick's crying there. He just remembered a tape that he lost in the great rot of '81.
The great rotters. Tape rotters.
I'm
a tape rotter. I hate tapes. My wife was talking to me the other day about because she's very keen on recycling, and I was saying, surely we can find a way to recycle VHSs and make something of them. You know what I mean? Because she's looking at all these sort of bags made from tire inner tubes and jewellery made from don't know what paper beads and things. What could you do with a VHS tape apart from melt down the plastic and remold it?
You can make them into fun little shelves. You could stick them onto the wall and they could have ornaments on them. I mean, it'd be fairly pointless, really.
They're not very strong, are they?
They're not very
Maybe you
strong.
should take the tape out and do something with the tape.
Yeah, like use it for a fun outfit or to sound like grass or something.
Well, it certainly would sound like grass, wouldn't it?
I mean, the thing is, as well, is that, and this is what's so crazy, and I think, I mean, it's the same about everything, really, but when you think all those VHS tapes were made out of plastic, they all still exist. Every single VHS you've ever owned in the history of, creation it still exists somewhere, in a landfill or whatever, and it's going to take hundreds of years for it to finally decompose.
Well, I think that it's a reasonable projection to say that that VHS tapes will eventually rule the earth.
Well, I think they will. Yes,
they will develop a society and an intelligence,
and a law and a code.
Subjugate us, and a what?
A law and a code. A code
like a postcode.
BNX 127.
X2.
Talking of code, though, do you remember at the start of a VHS tape, you'd have the little code? Like, it would pop up in the corner, and it would just be a sort of spool of writing and numbers and identification
I've
stuff.
Forgotten that.
Yeah, everybody forgets it until I remind them. And it's like it was on the beginning of everything, wasn't it?
Is that the answer to life, the universe, and everything? Do you think, that code?
Yeah, it's all in the code. It's the magic code of Azeroth.
Wow.
No, I do miss VHS tapes. There was something so I miss.
Not if you aim straight.
I miss. He's on a roll. I miss the ability to record things like that and have these great tapes with lots of different things on. Like, I just used to love that when you get these sort of compilation tapes of great programs and a little snippet at a time. You say, oh yeah, no, I remember that, and you'd know how the tapes went. And you'd be like, oh, that finishes here. Like, I remember there was one that was it opens with the first 3 episodes. No, the last 3 episodes of Day of the Triffids, and then went straight on into Genesis of the Daleks, with UK Gold adverts in between.
I mean, the times you would sort of set your counter at 0 at the beginning and then time it through to different things, but you'd never. It was never very. You would look at how much tape had amassed on one side. I was tempted to draw lines on it was really frustrating. But I'll tell you something you won't have experienced, because you were born into a world of VHS tapes, weren't you? Uh-huh. I was born into a world that didn't have VHS tapes, and I remember when they first arrived, and I was able to record television for the first time. It was frustrating, exciting. It made me sick in my stomach with the thought that why couldn't I record everything or all of Doctor Who that I could see? I mean, I could go on for hours, but I won't. Right, the next email is from Tom Hodden, sent to our Facebook page. You can message us through our Facebook page, by the way, the Benji and Nick
podcast@nicholasbriggs.com.
Yeah, but you can also email us from the Facebook page. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yes, there's an email button, and you click that, and Bob's your uncle on your father's side. It's there.
So, Thomas Hodden, what on earth have you got to say to us this time round? Because, frankly, you're always pretty good value. Gents, seeing as Benji went and mentioned it, I'm very much afraid that Nick is going to have to sit through an impassioned defence of the as impassioned a defence of the tripods as I can manage. Luckily, thanks to several long weeks of night shifts and having seen the show, the bar is set pretty low. The problem with the tripods is that the BBC produced a taut, exciting and visually impressive 6-part adaptation of The White Mountain, then kept filming until they had 12 half-hour episodes. That thought winemaking would be the subplot to keep young audiences enthralled.
Yes, I remember that. The White Mountain, by the way, is the book by John Christopher.
Which is a shame, as the show captures all the scenes of the book. Tense moments as the boys try to make contact with a ship, unsure who they can trust and who will betray them. The eerie exploration of an abandoned Paris. The heartbreaking outcome of the games at the castle and a tense cat and mouse game trying to avoid the menacing machines are all excellently realised, not only with top-notch models, but a shockingly effective use of lights that still manages to put my stomach in my mouth.
So true. You're on the money there.
Wow. In an alternate universe, there is a world where the single season of Tripods ran for 12 episodes with 3 4-part stories, rattling by at breakneck speed as far more of an adventure yarn, leaning heavily towards the alien city we saw in the second season, a shorter, snappier season that learned from its mistakes. Heck, they probably had a Christmas special based on the best of the books, The Coming of the Tripods. which makes the menace more alien and ethereal, with humanity doing most of the conquering itself. However, I will admit that Tripods was a show helped by the limitations of the VHS release. I don't think I would have liked it as much as if I had the whole series to watch, but having to buy 3 or 4 episodes at a time meant it never quite overstayed its welcome and tended to end on a strong cliffhanger. That said, it is not a show that I will be likely to revisit too soon if I have a kettle to watch boil or some paint to watch dry. Keep up the good work. Yours, as always, T.E. Hodden, sent from the city of gold and lead, possibly the worst holiday destination ever.
Certainly is. Well, I would say that the one thing, I suppose, that appeals to me about the pace of the show, I like the slow pace because it feels more like an adventure, where it takes time to get to places, and there's that sipping, taking in the culture. There, they go to France, and there's weird little sort of medievally communities there, and I like that. But
is it available on DVD?
Yeah, I've got the box set.
Released it?
BBC. BBC show, isn't it? So the BBC is a lovely box set. Actually, you get the
Simply Media. I'm just asking.
You get the 2 series 1 and 2 featurettes, and also you get because the 3rd series was never made, you get the original musician Ken Freeman has actually composed a soundtrack to the book of the 3rd book, which they never made the 3rd series.
Well, how long does that go on for?
Well, it's like an album's worth of music, as if so what he would have done for that had they made it. It's really nice.
Good Lord. Well, as you know, as I've said before, Big Finish have been asked many, many times about doing the Tripods 3rd book, but the rights are tied up with Disney, I believe.
So sad, because that seems like a very logical thing to do to finish that series off.
Well, I know if the rights became available, Jason Haigh Ellery would be right in there. Listen, shall we do Death to the Daleks?
Yes.
Part 3.
Part Smee. Mr.
Okay,
Smee.
folks, get your DVDs ready. Are you on the page with the episodes?
I'm just... Oh, I know what I did. I clicked stop, so I just have to click play again.
You have to start again.
Yeah, because it auto-played from last time, so I have to click menu.
To select... What is it they say at the beginning? To select audio...
Navigation, press enter now.
Press enter now. That strange sort of halting voice with too much of a gait on it. Press enter now. Almost not speaking.
Okay, so I'm on the part 3. I'm on the episode guide bit now.
So on the 1, okay. Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Starting. Well, there we are, the old slit scan starting sequence. I love the way that Pertwee's face is all sort of misty there.
I love as well is that I know exactly, it's like a little veil, isn't it? I love all the laughter lines that he's got there and the lighting. There's that corner that now I notice because of you.
There's a bit of black plastic.
It still blows my mind, the slit scan. I mean, it really does. The more I look at it, the more it still makes me just think it's real.
Somebody there?
Oh,
I forgot. I've got to make a commentary, haven't I? I've not just quote all the lines. What do we think of the design of the tunnel?
Interesting. I like it, but it doesn't leave much to the imagination, does it?
You still haven't worked out who's done all the candles.
Here he is. Here's your lad. Look at that. I'm stuck in the wall.
Yes. We're trying out the coaxial projection. Yeah, he really does look if he's caught a painful part of his body in the wall.
Help me.
Honestly, I don't know why this saucepan's stuck on it. I just...
You see, I love those effects when it strikes the wall with that, the fire.
You know that they must have had several takes. Whoa! Yeah, the route is terrible, isn't it? Keep back. He's got a bit of his white stuff's hanging off his arm there.
Oh, I love Bilal.
Arnold Yarrow. And others are like me, are their enemies. He makes a fluff there, doesn't he? Hey, doesn't he? Come on, admit it.
Come on, boy, come on. I love his eyes, which are definitely aviator glasses. He does such a good job, though.
It's like a performance from another decade, though, isn't it? It's like from the 1950s or something.
Oh, yeah. They look very 1950s.
He was a little fellow, wasn't he? Because
Tiny
Liz
man.
was not a tall lady at all. I mean, when I saw Liz, I always used to pick her up. when I gave her a hug, I used to pull her off the ground. She was that petite.
Oh, look, you can see the flashing light. You can see it reflecting on everything around him, not just his
Yes.
his suit.
It's meant to just pick up on the reflector, isn't it? But I never noticed it at the time, that glowing, and now that's all I can look at.
Well, here's a...
Yes, my mask isn't quite so good because I'm not important and stand in the background.
That's exactly what I was thinking, yeah. Oh.
Wouldn't it be great if Carrie Blyton just came in with a saxophone?
Listening to this with headphones, or maybe I'm just hearing it back through your headphones, but I thought I heard a bit of echo on the Dalek voices then.
Well, they're in their tunnel, aren't they?
Yeah, they never noticed that
before.
before.
Bit of reverb, not echo. That's probably just you're picking it up.
No, it sounded like slapback delay.
Oh. Well, they're having a bit of a ruckus there, aren't they?
They are. Unfortunate shadow on Bilal's face there.
They did a lot in this season, and I don't know whether they did it on purpose. Is the Doctor dead? I know that quite often happens, but we all knew John Pertwee was leaving, and in Monster of Peladon, there's a bit where he really does look like he's died.
Yeah, and they have it, Planet of the Daleks, the series, but not so much in this season, but in the season before, where you really think he's going to die.
Yeah, but we had reason to think he would.
I suppose you're right. I suppose you are right.
It's so disappointing, isn't it, that the Dalek is not active when the explosions go off. Palpable hit.
Oh.
And we got that one last shot of it wriggling around and then...
It would have been nice to have a big explosion. You go from the huge one in the second episode to that.
Yes, it sounds huge because in my mind's eye it's huge because I listened to it so often on the audio recording. Quick! A little bit of comedy there. Thank goodness there's a handy rock here.
Great bit this, isn't it? I love this. The reassuring music when the Doctor appears.
Yes.
Just shut up.
I'm leaving. I don't care. Who was it who wrote in? It was Colin Smith who wrote in to say that Pertwee's jacket in this was also used in The Green Death.
That makes sense. I'll tell you the thing that I never understand.
Route 1 Dalek Nil. I thought that was hilarious.
But he refers them as routes. But
yes.
What makes them a route?
Well, indeed. Presumably in the script it was described as something that was a route, but then the design department couldn't quite live up to...
Oh, I see. So he was thinking it's like a tree route.
Yeah, that the city has sort of technological routes that go into the ground, yes.
Well, that makes more sense. I just never even put two and two together.
Now, am I right in thinking that this is the first time a Dalek chants exterminate as it approaches someone?
Possibly. I'm just trying to think.
I think it is.
There's a lot of chanting in this from the Daleks.
Yeah, because the whole thing... Yeah. And also they put it in afterwards to fill in the gap, haven't they? Because the Daleks' lights aren't flashing, and I think they thought, this is a bit dull, let's have it saying something.
Let's have it. Yeah, you could be... Because I remember in Planet of the Daleks, they did a lot of shouting. Was it pursue, but not so much exterminate.
No, you see, my controversial view, and I don't think it's controversial at all, actually, myself, but is that the whole exterminate thing was created by the press, and then Terry Nation just absorbed it.
Definitely, yeah. Oh, well, it's like the wobbly sets thing, isn't it? There weren't that many wobbly sets, but now people completely just assume it was every episode the sets wobbled.
Yes. The thing is, though, they didn't make wobbly sets because the press had said it.
No, but what I mean is people buck that trend, and now it's all people talk about is that. I love this, yeah.
Yeah. But yes, but I think the programme imitated the press coverage of the whole exterminate thing. The Daleks did not start by saying exterminate every time they got cross. But now they have to do it all the time. It's great on audio because it makes sure you know they're still there. It's good old Galloway.
There's the rails there working perfectly. These primitive creatures with spades.
They've been provided by the Daleks.
Have a spade.
In the drawer underneath all those TARDIS models for shooting at, they've got a whole load of garden implements as well.
Yeah, get the shears. Just imagine them phoning up, could I have the gardening department? We need some spades. I've got great hair here. It's getting a wee bit windy and my hair is going everywhere. See, here, when you see the Exelons from a distance, they really do look like the rocks. I mean, the design is spot on for that.
It is. Is that Dalek's light flashing at all? Oh, it is now. They put a funny sort of tinny effect on the Dalek voices here, haven't they?
Yeah. Maybe they... wobbly. Perhaps it was something to do with the outside broadcast.
I don't think the Dalek voices would have been recorded on location. I think
possibly
they were.
Not. Yeah.
That picture was flipped round the other way. The Dalek sucker was on the wrong side.
Exxon just standing there with holding the sieve, like, oh, I'll go
looking
this.
Straight at the camera.
I'll go this way. I think. That lovely spaceship. Oh.
Dustbin lid. His little bit of. Any more TARDIS models to shoot at? Oh, which. Interesting little scene.
I like the inside of their spaceship looking very metally.
Yes.
He's really going for it, isn't he?
Build craft to travel through
that bloke
space.
Behind us. Oh, better look around. Better do some acting, I suppose.
Thought you ought to know we're being followed by another Dalek, but I don't want to interrupt this interesting conversation.
Yeah, but Al, come on.
Of course, I listened to this section very carefully before I wrote my Big Finish story, The Exelons, which is all about the Exelons who flew through space to...
Well, that's it. The one thing I would say about the Exelons is they actually dump quite a good amount of information on you about their past. And
they do.
They're pretty fleshed out race for a one-off story.
Yes, Terry Nation was very into this sort of dead civilizations that had secrets or form a different kind of life. I think it was I think he was influenced by things like The Time Machine, where you see humanity in its later years has become indolent and non-technological, and you know what I mean. I think he had a crash course in sci-fi by reading H.G. Wells, really.
But it works for his stories. Now, I'm a big fan of Nation's work.
Oh, me too. It's solid, absolutely solid. Solid. Hits the nail on the head. And he says, "Yet you don't fear the city, Bilal." And he says, "Yes, we do fear it." It sounds like Pertwee's got the line wrong there, and Arnold Yarrow's kind of retooling the scene to make it work. No, you're meant to say, but
it'd be interesting to see the script, actually, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I've not watched this one. Bizarrely, I've not watched this one with the info text on the screen. Have you got it on now? No. No. I don't know how to do that with this new DVD player I've got. I can take a nice screen grab.
Oh, look, you can see the rails there. Look, you can see them behind. As clear as day. I took a screen grab of that. I'm just going mad. I'm taking lots of screen grabs now. Look, it's using it as well. And look, you can see it as well on the left. Where the Exelon just walked over it.
Get off my rail. This shot was from earlier.
This looks like a similar place to where they filmed earlier, because you can see marks where the spears dug into the sand.
Well, I'm sure that the locations were all fairly close together. We'll find the hole that they dug for them to hide in a minute. They'll just trip and fall in it.
Is this guy who's definitely... He's like, I can't swim. Well, why did you go in the water then?
You see, that looks weird because the string seems to be coming out of the side of it there. How's that working?
Is that the top?
It's out the top now, but in the previous shot, it was coming out of the side.
How weird. I love all the water coming out of it. I think that's fun.
This scene sounds brilliant. The gun noise, that it makes it sound... It's like a wheezing old man. It's like...
That's right. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have done... Well, maybe he would have died from that. I suppose he would have, yeah.
That's the stunt man. He was waiting until it felt toasty, and they thought, hey, that's a bit of post-production effects there. That stunt man was waiting until it felt toasty and then threw himself in the water.
Oh, this the iconic moment now.
It's like John Scott Martin started a barbecue inside that Dalek and it got out of hand. Just having a sausage sandwich. Look at these Daleks look at each other in that slow way. He looks around and says, he's dead. Yeah, I know. I liked Kevin, but he had to die. To die.
I'm so glad they got rid of him. He's a right old snake. I love the way it slithers back into the water like a crocodile.
In a kind of, come in here, that's what you get. Wait.
Yeah, don't dig up my stuff, eh? Dave.
Yes, Dave.
Oh, you got them wrong, fool.
What does that say? Hold on, that's rude. That looks rude.
That did look rude.
That looks C-U-N... What?
No.
Arnold Yarrow's having a little bit of a joke there. John Pertwee's hair's a little bit rough and ready here, isn't it?
Well, I was looking at the extras and he's just scruffling it around himself quite a lot. That does look rude, doesn't it? Oh dear, he's definitely having a bit of fun, isn't he?
Has no one ever noticed that before?
Especially, blimey, especially where his head is as well. Oh dear. Wait for it. Oh dear.
Do you think that maybe Arnold Yarrow didn't get on quite as well with John Pertwee?
It feels like Arnold Yarrow was too... He seems too... That guy. Yep, a bit chunkier than the other one.
They whisper. They're like Sooty and Sweep, but they whispered.
Their faces. That guy looks like he's got a smile on the right.
The one on the right, he's a little bit plump, isn't he?
Podgy, isn't he? Yeah.
I've not been running away from roots recently.
Yeah, I've been eating all of the sacrifices food rations. Look, you can see like what looks like screws in the Dalek's dome there.
Yeah. I mean, that's why allegedly they painted the Daleks darker colours, because it covered up all the blemishes, whereas of course the brighter silver does expose it all.
I prefer them in brighter to darker, actually. I know people like them dark, but I like them light.
No, I like them like this, or the old silver and blue.
Silver and blue is my favourite, definitely.
Even though I'm a woman, I can take care of myself, because this is 1974.
Look at that really... bloke's pushing it round there. Come on, get it round.
Wait, back.
Oh, come on. Right. Yep. There we go. That'll do.
They took a while to say we obey, didn't they? Do you think they were thinking about it?
It's like, yeah, go on then.
Also, they go, we obey, but when they turn up at the city, they have normal voices. I think they're just putting it on, aren't they? They're trying to sound subservient.
Perhaps they're really scared of the route, and it's sort of, they think, oh, I don't want to go in there.
It is a bit like that Dalek saying, you will go on a suicide mission. And they're like, oh my God.
Oh, great. Cheers. Why don't you go? I've got to stay here and look at this.
Piece mining. Of sand. Yeah. So this is the scene you saw John Pertwee having difficulties with.
This is the exact scene, yes. Yeah. He walks over, messes up his line, and they recut it. They jump to it here. There we go, yeah.
I'm going to get this line out if it kills me.
He said, sorry.
You see, it's awful when they show the mistakes, really.
Ruins the magic.
Well, also, I mean, Tom Baker has said to me a couple of things about, sometimes he said he was aware that he was a bit difficult. And I said, yeah, well, we've all seen the studio footage, Tom. And he had a look on his face like, hey? I thought, yeah, no one's asked your permission for that, have they? Yeah.
Shocking, isn't it?
So she fluffs her line there, but I think she thinks I'm not going to stop the take because I think he'd decapitate me.
Lost my car keys.
Lovely little moment. Tom Baker's waiting, don't worry. What if he'd missed and put his fingers up her nose?
Sorry.
I'm such a child. Sorry, can we retake? I didn't mean to do the nasal thing.
I always liked the third Doctor and Sarah. I thought I warmed to them very quickly. I love Sarah and the fourth Doctor, obviously, but there was they're very different relationships, but
certainly
both lovely.
Is, yeah.
That light, the way that it flares, there's Dave. The way the model's light flares looks very impressive.
Thank God it doesn't say the other word that we detected down in the catacombs.
Yeah. By the way, they just thrown a bit of sand on the floor.
Yeah. Well, they can't have too much sand because the Daleks would just skid and fall over.
Oh, here we go. I wonder what's going to light up.
Maybe it's that big panel. I'm just guessing. Yeah. Well, I can't see anything at all.
What's the point of it doing that?
That's what the Doctor should say.
What is the point?
It's brilliant. It's like a light that goes on and off. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
You wanted to see the symbols?
Here's Dave.
They light up too.
A light? You've got lights on this planet? This is unbelievable.
Good. This grief.
With this technology, you could have a dinner party. What's that one say?
Sock.
Bum.
Somebody needs to just make an entire font of this writing, please. And I will send off all my invoices.
I bet Clayton Hickman's done it. Now, where? Where? You mean standing right in front of you? That really annoyed me. That Dalek... No wonder he's missing. He's looking up in the air.
And why are they firing? Because presumably if they're round the corner, they're not going to see them.
Yeah.
Unless they were miles off. But then
they poke their heads round the corner. That was meant to be the end of the episode, wasn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Dave,
bum.
Right, all right.
I've got better things to do than read Exelon graffiti.
I love that little hat it wears. And the one of the bloke who couldn't solve it, and so he just sat on the floor and died. It's really easy. Look, the guy on the coffee table.
They thought.
See, it would have been nice if he'd tapped it and it fell and turned to dust.
Yes, that's a bit of an expensive effect. The coffee table.
Look, they're all too lazy. They couldn't be bothered to solve the puzzle.
I mean, since this puzzle is in every Doctor Who annual that's ever been published.
They should have had a good head. Looks like a chess set down there.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I say Doctor Who annual, they're probably in the Sooty annual as well, and the Pinky and Perky annual, and the whatever.
I always find it interesting that he follows the line, but not the bits in between, because I would have done the bits in between.
Yeah, I've spent more time thinking about that than is healthy. It's true. Because I've tried to follow the black lines don't go anywhere.
No, well, yeah, it's a very interesting thought, actually, isn't it?
Add to this decoration.
I just can't get my head around the fact that these people can play chess, but they can't solve a very easy maze.
It's a really good point, isn't it?
And why would they bring a chess set with them?
Well, you're spoiling it.
Now listen here. If it all goes tits up, at least we can play chess. I've brought tiddlywinks. Excellent, Bilal. Thank you. All right.
Come on, say something, Benji.
Of course.
This says bum.
Buttocks. Of course, the other thing is, how do the Daleks solve the maze is the other question. Because it seems very unrealistic that they'd be able to.
Yes, well, you don't quite see that. No. Frankly, if this was a realistic documentary...
Has he taken his gloves off? He's only gone... He was wearing gloves, wasn't he? When he touched it the first time, maybe.
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
I don't remember.
Maybe he wasn't, I don't know.
Or, I don't know, he could have put them in his pocket. I mean, they're moving pretty slow. The Doctor will be thinking it won't take long for the Daleks to get through. They missed a trick there, really, didn't they? He should be more anxious that the Daleks are following him.
Definitely.
But he's not thinking about that at all. That's a directorial failure.
I'll tell you what he should be thinking. Looking around the corner, he should be thinking, it's this amazing city and it's really drab inside, isn't it?
Yes. Well, it's functional futurism. all advanced species have evolved low clutter.
It's very true.
Thresholds.
That's why I'm a dying breed.
But this has just occurred to me for the first time, well, since a few seconds ago. He really should worry about the Daleks coming, because he talks earlier on about how clever they are. They'll get through that maze in no time.
You would be hurrying, wouldn't you?
Here we go.
Terrible cliffhanger. Cliffhanger.
Given that they made that cliffhanger up because the episode was underrunning, do you think that symbol clash wasn't Carrie Blyton? That would have just been from stock, wouldn't it?
You could be right, actually, or maybe one of the people in the radiophonic just quickly shoved it out in a couple of minutes. But
I've got a symbol here.
But also, why when he seems surprised by the floor, but given the fact that there's nothing else to look at down that corridor, it's a cream corridor. The floor is the only interesting feature. That's the first thing I would have noticed is, there's a pattern on the floor.
Yeah, you would have noticed it from a long way off, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he should have wore his glasses. But there we have it. Death to the Daleks Part 3.
Michael Bryant.
Sterling stuff, BBC Colour. End title.
Michael Bryant, who forgot to remind John Pertwee that the Daleks
were behind
him. But John Pertwee, if you told him that, he was like, I don't care, I don't like them.
Yeah, he didn't like them, and that's one of the saddest things, finding out that Doctor Who didn't like the Daleks.
Well, it's what made me not sad to see him go when the article said in the newspaper, John Pertwee, I can't stand the Daleks. Quits. Yeah, it took me a long time to forgive John Pertwee for that.
Especially given that I consider his Dalek stories probably a trilogy of my favourite Dalek story. I love those Dalek stories.
Do you?
I hold.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I hold them
Day
very.
of the Daleks is a bit of a mess.
Day of the Daleks is a bit of a mess, granted, but I like the music in it. But I hold Planet of the Daleks in extremely high regard. I love that story to bits. I love it. That's the one. That's my Doctor Who story I watch when I'm not very well.
Oh,
that's like a day on the sofa.
Yeah.
But
a day of the Daleks on the sofa.
A Day of the Daleks. I wouldn't watch that on the sofa. Make me feel more ill. But great music. And drinking.
But you said that my music sounded a bit like.
Yes, I knew. Didn't I say? I think there's a bit of homage to Day of the Daleks, and you were like, "This is exactly what." And then you mentioned the exact bit that I was thinking of as well. Such minds. But there you have it. So part 3 of Death to the Daleks. We've got one more part to go before we end our first commentary that we've ever done. So what I would recommend is get writing in, whether you speak to us at Twitter, which is at Benji and Nick, or visit our Facebook, facebook.com/The Benji and Nick Show, or send us an email to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com and tell us what you would like us to run a commentary on next. Not just Doctor Who, can be anything. So please get those in, and maybe if we get some common answers, maybe we'll do a poll to determine what we go for.
Right, you're going to do a poll on Twitter?
Yeah, we could do a Twitter poll. a metal pole. Poland. Yes, so
Interpol.
Interpol. Yes, Polly. But yes, so on that, I think it's goodbye from me.
Is it? No, hold on.
Oh, what, are we carrying on?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We got two things to do. We've got to phone Jamie, which I'm doing now. And we've got to decide what we're talking about next time.
Cripes, brilliant, excellent.
Jamie, who I think may be in a pub with Andy Lane, international renowned writer. Come on, Jamie Anderson.
He's doing that thing. Oh, I've got to be on a podcast.
He's in a noisy
now.
pub, isn't he? You know, he's never going to hear it. No.
Never mind.
It's a fail. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about next time. Come on, then.
I don't know. What are we going to talk about next time?
I think it's only fair, and I'm going to regret saying this.
I know what you're going to say.
Tripods.
Brilliant. Yes.
I have to try and reassess the tripods, don't I?
But can we do it on the agreement that you'll watch the first 2 episodes? Because the first episode, I want you to enjoy it, because I think that you could. I could see inside that cold, dark exterior is a heart of gold, the city of gold and lead. I think you'd enjoy it.
Okay, mate.
Excellent. Well, that's settled then. Next time we'll be doing the tripods.
Wow.
Oh, so exciting.
I've got to buy it now.
Well, that's the price you pay. It's the price you pay.
Right, it's fair enough. It's about time that I was not so rotten about the tripods. All right, then. Well, as you said, but it's a no-show for Jamie Anderson, but we did have an overdose of him on the old cooking show a few weeks back. Yeah,
we did speak to him on the phone just before we recorded this podcast, so that's quite funny. You just didn't hear it.
Very entertaining.
It certainly was.
Oh well, okay.
Oh well,
it's goodbye from me.
Yeah, well, in that case, it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Pressing stop now. Ka-chunk.